Hey everybody, in today's video I wanted to talk about Rivian stock, or RIVN. I've mentioned this one a couple of times in my channel before. I do have a small position in it. It's right around 2% of my portfolio. I'm probably working up to get it towards around 5%, but I want to give you guys an update on it. It's been a little while. We're going to look over the chart. We're going to look over some expectations for this upcoming earnings, and also some different valuation metrics and a few other things. So if you guys like these videos, consider hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Check out the links down below, and let's take a look at RIVN stock. Now lately it's been trading in a channel. It did hit a low point of about $12. It hasn't hit that point again, but it has found a resistance like 3 times that was a previous support here. So I think Rivian has to break out of $16 to see some positive momentum. And once we can break 16, I think we're off to the races. So right now it's trying to hold the 50 MA, but it is facing a declining 200 that it's under, and of course the 50 MA is under the 200 as well, which indicates that this is bearish. So from a short to mid-term perspective, we might see some new lows being created. Let's face it, this company is still not profitable, and this is not the right environment for unprofitable companies. That being said, I see a lot of opportunities in many of the unprofitable companies I've talked about when you're looking at them over a long-term mindset. And I also wanted to bring up, we're finally back to expecting growing revenue. And I'm not saying just by a couple million, I'm talking about hundreds of millions. $955 million in revenue is what they're expecting actually. And that's been the general theme with this company, is just massively growing revenue, typically by about 100 to 150 million. And that's the theme here, is typically growing revenue, usually by the 100 to 150 million. Although, and I talked about this in my last Rivian video, you'll see that these quarters here, they saw like barely any revenue growth. Back in the period ending December of 2022, they reported a $660 million quarter, expected 723. This is where things really started dropping even more, from almost 20 down to the low teens. And then the quarter after that, they saw 661 million, where the estimate was like $1 million over their previous quarter. They missed that by a couple million, so we did see a decrease in revenue here for the first time since Rivian became a publicly traded company. And now the quarter ending in June of 2023, so this month is the last month of this quarter, they're actually expecting 955 million, back to a huge increase in revenue. And I do think that's what we will continue to see moving forwards with Rivian. And I still do see Rivian as a great stock to continue to DCA in, but realizing this isn't a profitable company and they are going to continue to burn cash. Now I also wanted to show you a couple of different metrics. First off, their market cap is right around the lowest it's been, $13 billion market cap. And their price to sales for a growth company is relatively low, right in the 5s. Now one thing to realize is once this quarter gets reported, this price to sales will dramatically drop. And as they pull in more revenue, that means that this price to sales will be lower. Unless the price, meaning the stock price, was to dramatically rise, I do expect the price to sales to come towards the 3s, which I think is a great value when you look at a growth stock. Also, price to book, they're right at book value. And of course, they don't have a PE ratio as they're not pulling in a profit. And I wanted to show you the balance sheet, obviously, as they're not a profitable company, and you want to know what kind of cash they're holding on to and what's their debt looking like. And I'd say they have a multi-year run rate here. They have $11 billion in cash and only $3 billion in debt. That gives them quite a few quarters to get themselves together, get closer and closer to that profitability as they continue burning this cash and potentially adding to their debt. Now this cash burn will get lower and lower as they continue to increase that revenue and tighten up those expenses. Now I will leave this down below for you, and this is the most recent news I found of this back in April of 2023. But in that amount of time, Amazon has tripled its fleet of Rivian vans to 3,000 across the US. And here's a side story. I see these literally all the time. When I start getting into Napa, there is a Amazon facility somewhere towards American Canyon, and you'll see these trucks along with the Ford ones, the Transits, I think. But I'm telling you, I've seen these like back to back to back before. You'll see 3 over here, another one over there, another one behind you, and another one farther behind you. And I do expect these to continue to roll out, and we're going to see a lot more of these vehicles. And by the time of this article, over 75 million packages have been delivered using the Rivian EDVs, which is a huge increase over the 10 million packages reported in February of 2022. Now, I did want to touch on, the fact that there has been recent talks of them getting out of their exclusivity agreement with Amazon, and I personally don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. And Amazon already has the potential to use other EVs. In my point of view, this kind of hinders Rivian more than Amazon. It forces Rivian to only offer these EVs to Amazon when instead they could broaden their market and offer these to more and more customers if they didn't have this exclusivity agreement. But let me know what you think about that. Do you think this potential of them getting out of this exclusivity agreement is good or bad? But thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about Rivian stock. I do think moving forwards we're going to see increasing revenue and we will get over the billion mark, I think, in the next 2 quarters or so. And stick around because later today I will be going over some stock market catalysts coming up, such as CPI, the FOMC meeting, things of that nature. But until then, take it easy and have a good day.